Hello, beautiful people. It's another wonderful day. I'm out with my Clark Griswold hat on, taking a little walk with my dog, but I wanted to talk to you real quick about the condition of our country and the fact that we are not a democracy. There's a study that recently came out by Princeton University, and they are showing that we are more of an oligarchy than we are a democracy. And other high influential people have also went on to state that democracy and the oligarchy interplay on a daily basis, and America is a good representation of that. We have seen Trump come in and represent what seems to be change that we're looking for, but it's not. It is a false sense of security to keep the American people content, happy, and quiet, hoping that he's changing. I was excited when I first heard about Trump coming into office simply because of some of the things that he was saying, but it has not been followed through with. The swamp has not been drained. In fact, since Trump has came in, we have seen more big business interrelated with our governmental politics than ever. We do see little simple changes that's being pushed, especially on the Christian agenda, to try to keep the majority of people to understand or think that we are moving in the right direction. We are not moving in the right direction. Our country is and has been controlled by big business and big pharma. And this includes completely integrating with the Center for Disease Control, the FDA, and several other institutions that were designed to protect us. There is corruption within the CIA, the FBI. Any institute that I have researched within the government has been in part of corruption or being bought out, so to speak. And it's time that our country is reestablished back to a republic where the people have the power and our governmental organizations are set up in a way that common interest or conflicting interest parties cannot come into the FDA. We cannot have people having a revolving door within Monsanto and the FDA. This is absurd. It's a huge conflict of interest for the people that have created asbestos, PCBs. Monsanto has created the glyphosate, which is in Roundup, Agent Orange. The list goes on of the deadly things that they have been guilty of. But the way that their system is set up, they're set up in a way that they cannot be held against crimes. They can only be held in civil court. So when they do these atrocities, they are not held accountable to their actions. Monsanto Corporation now produces our genetically modified organisms, and they are also have had a revolving door within the FDA. That is a huge conflict of interest. It is not within the best interest of the people to have any big business tied or related to or being able to infiltrate any of our governmental organizations that are designed to protect us. It is time that we have people in our offices that represent us all the way through from the Senate, all the way up to our representatives, up to the President of the United States. It's time that we learn our true history. It is very critical to point out and see the kind of history that we're being taught in our schools. It is very obvious that when you look back at our history, we are not taught the complete history of the establishment of America, but we are taught how England came over and established America. We had the Articles of Confederation before we had the Constitution, and England proposed a document before the Constitution that was rejected, and it set up just exactly like the Constitution is now. The only difference was that England would choose our president, and they would reside over the states here. Well, they set it up so that we were able to vote and choose our leader, our presidential leader. However, they have slowly and very ingeniously infiltrated our country, big business, and been able to have complete control over what they want to do. The sad part is they write legislation. They work hand in hand with the people that work and prepare our legislation, and they set it up so that everything that they're doing is legal. Monsanto right now is being covered by Americans. We are the safe haven for them. They have it set up so that they cannot be held against crimes, but only civil court. And the way they do that is their main stockholder, the Vanguard group, is set up so that they own their money, and then their money owns the stocks. So they really cannot actually be held accountable for the crimes that they've committed. That's the reason why they've been able to create all of these absurd products which have damaged, hurt, and killed thousands, if not millions, of people over the years and never been held for crimes. When they go to court, they can be sued and they just lose a little small amount of the money that they have made, and they walk around and leave this obtrusive action, and they leave with millions and millions of dollars of profit and are able to just pay out a trickle in civil fees and go about their next major critical decision or product that's going to destroy America and their people. It is harmful, it is not healthy, and it's time that the American people begin to learn how our country was set up. It's time that our people understand that the President of the United States was never meant to have the power that he has today. In fact, we had several presidents before George Washington here in the States, that's right, and the president did not have the power that he has now. It was to preside over the meetings. That's the reason he was called the president. And the representatives did not want the job. Why? Because they had more political influence and more political power writing and voting on laws and establishing their states rather than presiding over the meeting. So this was not a job that people wanted. They had restrictive power. It was more like the Speaker of the House who controls the meetings. It was more like just presiding over the meetings. So it was something that we have had multiple presidents before Washington. However, we don't learn about that. We only learn about the history of England establishing us. And it's very obvious if you look back in to history. We now have multiple history teachers that are going back and looking not just at what they are taught, but looking back in real history and beginning to observe that we have been infiltrated by the Queen of England, and we have been set up systematically to still be servitude unto them. That's why we have the condition we do in America. It's time that the people understand the truth. It's time that the people really stand up and be free, and that we are able to put the power back in the people and establish these governmental organizations that will really have the best interest of the American people at heart.